Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine appeared in court in the Dominican Republic today.
No, poner la sentencia para septiembre 25. Ya me hice culpable.
If the entertainment world handed out crowns for rappers who stayed tangled in courtroom drama, 6ix9ine would wear it loud and proud. He became the undisputed king of chaos, a man with platinum hits in one hand and handcuffs in the other. With at least half a dozen court dates and time locked behind bars, his reputation became just as notorious as his music. And the wildest part, not too long ago, at the very peak of his fame, 6ix9ine had the world at his feet, running a booming rap empire, living in a multi-million-dollar mansion, flashing jaw-dropping jewelry, and rolling in supercars most rappers only dream of. But from being hyped as hip-hop's ultimate troll, he's now a shadow of that persona, stuck in the cold grip of prison walls. The fall wasn't just bad luck. It all came from one reckless move, a decision so messy even Tekashi himself couldn't have predicted it would destroy his entire world. Daniel Hernandez, the man the world knows as Tekashi 6ix9ine, was never built like a typical rapper. Long before the fame, he was already running into trouble with the law, building a rap sheet instead of a resume, but instead of dialing it back, those early run-ins only fueled his wild streak. By 2017, he stormed into the spotlight with a blueprint to fame that wasn't based just on bars. It was pure theatrics designed to shake the culture, and shake it he did. With a rainbow mane, 6ix9ine blasted all over his skin, and that raw, screaming rap delivery, 6ix9ine made sure no one could ignore him. His debut single, Gummo, dropped in October 2017, wasn't just a track, it was a takeover. At only 22, he was already sitting on a $7.5 million recording deal, a $4.9 million headphone endorsement, and more than $10 million banked from his album, Dummy Boy. Those insane numbers didn't just prove 6ix9ine could sell records, they turned him into a full-blown brand. He wasn't just a rapper anymore, he was a walking money-printing machine, a figure whose influence stretched way past New York streets and into global culture. But the rise was too fast, too easy, and it twisted his mindset, making him believe he was untouchable. That cocky arrogance became the spark that lit the fuse for everything that came next. At this point, 6ix9ine's lifestyle was straight-up royalty in rap form. We're talking a Lamborghini Urus, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, all parked in his driveway. Add diamond-drenched chains, and Richard Mille watches worth millions, and you start to see the picture. In his videos, he'd toss stacks of cash into the air like it was nothing, while on Instagram, he boasted with no shame, "Money rules everything." He really lived like a king, basking in fame, power, and endless wealth. But what he didn't see, or maybe refused to see, was that this flashy lifestyle was slowly changing him. The more he flexed, the more reckless he became, ignoring limits and crossing lines that most wouldn't dare.
You hear me? Got one house right here, 2 houses right here, 3 houses right here, 4 houses right here, 5 houses right here, maybe 2 houses right there, you feel me?
Bit by bit, he was being pulled toward a cliff he didn't even know he was standing on. By November 2018, while the world still thought he was shining at the top, the storm hit out of nowhere. The same arrogance that made him a star dragged him too deep into the wrong circle. The ruthless world of the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. 6ix9ine wasn't just flashing gang signs for clout, he was living it for real. The guns in his music videos, the wild lyrics, the crew filled with 9 Trey members, none of it was staged. That wasn't image building, it was his reality. And while it gave him an edge that made fans obsess over his every move, it also painted a big red target on his back for the feds. Then came November 18th, 2018, the day it all collapsed. After months of wiretaps and surveillance, the FBI swooped in like a storm, snatching up 6ix9ine along with top 9 Trey members. The raid was cold, calculated, and merciless, tearing apart the fantasy of invincibility he had sold to millions. One second, he was lounging in his luxury New York apartment. The next, he was cuffed, dragged out under flashing cameras. The world watching the king of New York get dethroned in real time. The headlines went nuclear. Fans, haters, critics, everyone was stunned. How could the man who screamed he was untouchable now be facing the kind of charges that could bury him alive for 47 years? In court, the rainbow-haired troll-turned-celebrity looked nothing like the untamed figure we saw online. At just 22 years old, He sat pale and shaken while prosecutors read out the charges like a death sentence: extortion, drug trafficking, illegal weapons possession, even conspiracy to commit murder. Each accusation cut deeper than the last. A cruel irony: the same street image that built his empire was now tearing it apart. Just days after getting locked up, 6ix9ine pulled off the move that shook hip-hop to its core. He broke the one rule you never break: loyalty to your crew. Instead of writing it out, he flipped, choosing to cooperate with the FBI and spilling secrets that should have never left the streets. Fans couldn't believe it. The King of New York was now the biggest snitch in rap history. But that gamble paid off in court. Instead of rotting away for 47 years, he walked away with just a 2-year bid. Inside the hearing, it was like a crime documentary playing out live. 6ix9ine didn't hold back. He mapped out 9 Trey's operations in full detail. He gave up robberies, shootings, drug deals, everything. He even pointed fingers at the same men he once called brothers, naming leaders like Anthony Harv Ellison and Aljamiah Nuke Mack. But it didn't stop at the crimes. 6ix9ine exposed the business side too, revealing how the gang used his fame as a weapon to grow their power. He described the hits they plotted, the beefs they had inside the crew, every dirty secret laid out like chapters in a book. The courtroom was stunned at how clearly he recounted every move.
Look at that. That's 50. 100. Let's keep it going. 150. 200. 250.
Like he had been writing it all down for this exact moment. And while the deal saved his freedom, it destroyed his rep. In hip-hop culture, there's no sin worse than snitching. By the time he stepped out of court, the backlash was brutal. Legends like Snoop Dogg, The Game, and Jim Jones dragged him publicly, stamping him with the scarlet label, snitch. The streets weren't quiet after 6ix9ine flipped. The internet roasted him alive. Social media blew up with the hashtag #snitch9, flooding timelines with endless memes and clown posts, tearing his image apart. Fans who once praised his wild energy turned cold, calling him fake and exposing the gangster image as nothing but an act. One furious tweet summed it all up: "I thought 6ix9ine was real, but turns out he's just an actor, a traitor who doesn't deserve respect." With that kind of backlash and 2 years in prison, you'd think Tekashi might have humbled himself, right? Not even close. When he walked free in April 2020, thanks to that deal with the FBI, he didn't lay low for a second. Instead of rebuilding quietly, he came back louder than ever, convinced he was still the king of New York. In his head, the crown never slipped, no matter who called him a rat. And his first move, an Instagram Live that made history. Over 2 million people tuned in, smashing records, waiting to see if he'd apologize or show remorse. But Tekashi being Tekashi, he doubled down. No regrets, no shame. He laughed at the hate, taunted his critics, and bragged, "I'm still here, still making money while you're sitting there typing on your keyboards." 6ix9ine shocked everyone again when he flat out refused witness protection. Think about that. After testifying against the 9 Trey gangsta bloods, he walked back into the world with no security, daring anyone to touch him. To most people, that wasn't bravery. It was reckless arrogance. But Tekashi truly believed his fame, his followers, and his chaos-driven image would keep him safe from any retaliation. By then, though, the damage was already done. From the 2018 arrest to the courtroom betrayal, the public had turned on him. What used to be King of New York energy was now nothing but hate-filled memes and eye rolls. And yet, 6ix9ine convinced himself he could flip the script again. When he got out in April 2020, serving under 2 years thanks to his snitch deal, he came back cocky as ever, ready to reclaim his throne. To prove it, he locked in a massive $10 million contract with 10K Projects, the label betting big that controversy could still sell. They wanted the same Tekashi, who once broke charts with screaming rap, rainbow hair, and non-stop headlines. But reality hit harder than any diss track. His comeback album Tattletales flopped hard, moving only 53,000 copies in its first week. That number was more than a disappointment. It was a message.
Tekashi 6ix9ine's bling is going up for auction. The auction is happening to pay back the IRS. Includes 63 pieces ranging from jewelry to handbags to plaques to watches and earrings. There's even Bruce the Shark from Finding Nemo, covered in over 7,000 diamonds.
Fans weren't buying what he was selling anymore. The people who once loved his fearlessness now saw nothing but a fraud. a rapper who leaned on drama instead of music. After the crushing flop of Tattletales, 6ix9ine did what he always knew best. He ran straight back to Instagram, the stage that once made him untouchable. His feed exploded again with stacks of cash spread across tables, diamond chains glittering under bright lights, and exotic cars lined up like trophies. But this time, the flexing wasn't enough, so he went further, turning his page into a war zone. He came at his biggest critics head-on. Meek Mill, Lil Durk, even Snoop Dogg, nobody was safe. He mocked Durk over the devastating loss of King Von, sparking outrage, and he tried to bait Meek Mill by calling him a loser and challenging him to a boxing match. Instead of rebuilding his career, Tekashi doubled down on trolling, thinking controversy alone would keep him relevant. But the internet wasn't buying it anymore. Forums lit up with comments calling him a clown, a drama addict who thrived on chaos but couldn't turn the noise into real success. The same arrogance that once made him a viral star had now become the knife cutting through his career. And just when it looked like things couldn't get worse, his money problems came crawling into the light. Court papers revealed he owed a jaw-dropping $9.8 million from a lawsuit tied to a 2018 nightclub altercation where he allegedly injured someone. On top of that, the IRS hit him with over $10 million in unpaid taxes between 2020 and 2023. As if the mountain of debt wasn't enough, 6ix9ine just couldn't stay out of trouble. It was like he learned nothing from prison. In 2021, he was detained in the Dominican Republic after trying to throw a concert without the proper permits, violating immigration rules like they didn't even apply to him. The arrest didn't last long, but the damage to his already crumbling reputation was massive. Now, his name was tainted overseas too. Back in the US, it was more of the same reckless behavior. He broke probation by traveling without clearance and dodging mandatory drug tests meant to keep him in check. On top of that, the lawsuits kept piling up. From shady contract disputes with business partners to straight-up violence allegations, Tekashi was drowning in legal chaos. One infamous case came from 2020, when he was accused of assaulting a staff member at a Miami nightclub. Just another stain on a record already buried in controversy. Even if these new cases weren't as heavy as his 9 trade charges, they painted a clear picture. 6ix9ine wasn't changing. Every move screamed arrogance, and every headline reminded the world he was still stuck in the same cycle. And then came the hammer. After endless warnings, the IRS finally had enough. They swooped in and seized everything he had left. The same luxury toys he flaunted to the world. Gone. The downfall wasn't just financial. It was symbolic. The Rolls-Royce Ghost, once paraded as proof of his wealth, was auctioned off for a fraction of what he paid. That $500,000 Richard Mille watch, the same one he flashed in videos as a crown jewel, ended up for sale online, mocked by commenters who once cheered him on. Even his gold and platinum records, the trophies of his short-lived reign, now sit collecting dust in an IRS warehouse, relics of a career that burned too bright, too fast, and crashed even harder. Looking at 6ix9ine today, the lesson is crystal clear. Fame without loyalty, ethics, or responsibility doesn't last. Millions of fans who once loved his chaotic style and rainbow-haired energy turned their backs completely. One YouTube fan put it bluntly, "I miss the early days of Gummo when he was just a quirky kid with colored hair. That nostalgia only made his scandals sting more. Every time he downplayed crimes, bragged about betrayal, or trolled his critics, he pushed away even the ones who wanted to believe in him. And when he tried to bounce back with projects like Le Aviva and Blackballed, they didn't even chart. His socials, once record-breaking, now pull just scraps of attention compared to his peak. As one Reddit user summed it up, he can keep making music, but nobody's taking him seriously anymore. Meanwhile, his reputation sank further with fresh arrests. From domestic violence allegations in the Dominican Republic to probation violations back in the States, it locked in one final truth. 6ix9ine isn't seen as a rap star anymore. He's seen as irredeemable, a broken brand, a cautionary tale, a man who had it all but let arrogance destroy everything. And that's the tragedy. He'll always be remembered. But not for the music, for the betrayal. Or as one user on X said best, he had everything, but destroyed it all himself. So what do you think? Was 6ix9ine doomed from the start, or did he throw away his own crown? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.